Hey Chuck, my man, it's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, man.
Beautiful, and thank you so very much for being here, just like I mentioned earlier. And you see, Chuck, mm, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things, and I do this so often to the point where it has become an anthem for me. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Chuck, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Chuck, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Chuck, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me. Because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, but ripe mangoes. It was a beautiful
Yum.
moment that day, I tell you. I was so excited, especially one at that. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Chuck that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show, because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, how you are offering your solution, the impact your work is having, your philosophies, your insight, the stuffs are amazing. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Chuck is doing, not only me now, but even the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Chuck. So thank you so very much for investing in yourself. And secondly,
I don't know
thank you
what
for
happened
saying
there,
yes to the
but you
invite.
went away.
Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thank you so much, my man.
There
Hope
you
my
are.
love.
It's okay. It
As I
happens.
was saying, now I tell you, thank you so very much for investing in yourself, and thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. So thank you so much, my man.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I love that story and I love mangoes. So, I think we're going to
Awesome.
have a very
Yeah.
fruitful conversation.
Yeah, my man, I love mangoes too. Okay, let's get started, Chuck. You see,
Yeah.
I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for two reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, Chuck, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very, very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Chuck on the show is for the sake of the listeners. You see, Chuck, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Chuck, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Chuck, my man, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. Because right now, we are just so curious. We want to know how Chuck got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Chuck, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I love that idea. I mean, I think that we are bombarded with information and starving for wisdom, starving for insights, and so I love the theme of this podcast and what you're doing. So a little bit about me. I don't know if I should go backwards or forwards. Let's see. Let's start where I'm at today, and then we'll kind of go backwards. So today, I'm married to a beautiful woman. I have a beautiful, beautiful life. And um, I'm just really blessed. But it wasn't always like that. You know, I was married before this for 20 years. And one day my wife, kind of almost out of the blue, left me. Now, I didn't realize this, but she had been plotting this for quite some time. She'd been squirreling away some money. She even had rented in an apartment, all without my knowledge. And this was something that blindsided me and hurt so much. And it really set me first kind of on the path of spiraling down. And then once I kind of got to the bottom, that's when I started making my way out of the abyss. And so right after she left, I was a mess for a couple of years. I was drinking more than I should. I was, getting in relationships I had no idea what I was doing and shouldn't have been in the first place. And eventually landed myself in a 12-step program for recovery from alcohol. And that was the beginning of my journey back towards freedom. Just understanding that the pain that I was feeling was so deep that alcohol was a way to numb out the pain. It was a way to just kind of escape. And I think as men, we do that a lot. We escape. We try to escape the pain, whether that's video games, watching porn, flipping through Instagram, all those different things that we do to escape. And underneath that is a pain that we're trying to escape. And usually that pain is ourselves. Something about us that we feel is unlovable, unacceptable, and that if anybody really knew us the way that we know us, they wouldn't like us because we don't like us because we know us. And from that place, then I started my own recovery. I had began the process of becoming a therapist and a counselor because I wanted to give the gift to other people who are going through this. And it became my passion and my life's work to try to help men have beautiful, wonderful relationships. Because here's the thing is, I don't know about you, but my dad was a good dad, but he didn't taught me nothing about how to be a husband. He didn't teach me like how to have communication, how to handle conflict, how to keep the passion alive year after year. It was a skill set that no one taught me, and no one taught him, frankly. And so I think as a result of that, I wanted to figure it out. I wanted to make sure that I never went through that kind of pain again. And so I studied, I did research, I did interviews, and I realized that a lot of this really started with me starting to love myself and to respect myself. And one of the things that happened along the way, I had a mentor who said to me, Chuck, the reason you're in so much pain is because you're out of integrity. And I didn't know what integrity meant. I had an idea. I mean, people say talk about integrity, but what is integrity, right? And what I discovered was integrity is an integration, the first part of the word intra, it means integration, integrity. Okay, so it's an integration of your values, your virtues, the things that are important to you. Now, if we've never defined those things for ourselves, we don't know when we're out of integrity. So, for example, courage might be a high value for me. But if I'm avoiding difficult conversations, am I really practicing courage? No. So what that means then is that I am out of integrity when I'm avoiding a difficult conversation. So that's kind of where it started for me. And like I said, today I'm I coach men from all over the world. I teach men how to be better husbands, how to be leaders in their relationship, and lead from a place of open-hearted love.
Amazing, man. You see, I love the end part. The fact that you became the change you couldn't find around. You
Mm,
know, many men out there, like just the part you mentioned where your dad didn't teach you those things. Same here, I tell you. I had to give myself to learning, and I began
yeah,
to teach him the things his dad never taught me. You see, so I
yeah.
love the fact that you said you give yourself to learning, and you got at those solutions. You learned, you did research, and now you're helping men. That's amazing,
Mm,
and I love that.
thank you. Thank you.
Yes, my man. Thank you so very much for all that you're doing. It's amazing.
Uh,
And you see, you went through a hell of a journey. Going through
yeah.
that stuff with your previous wife. Oh boy, 20 years? Ah,
Mm,
you see,
mm,
I had my um previous, let's say my ex
yeah.
girlfriend. Now that
Yeah.
I'm married now, but my ex girlfriend, we had this 3 years journey, everything, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, she said she ain't interested anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
oh boy, Chuck, it almost broke me apart. It
Yeah.
was so tough on me. I just couldn't bear it. I tell you, now, not to talk of a journey of 20 years. That must have been so tough on you. I
Right.
tell you, my man. So,
Yeah.
going through all of that and coming out of it, and now you are helping others not go to the same pain and all of those stuff. It's amazing. So, that's going to lead to the very first question. What do you think is the biggest mistake men make in marriage?
Mm. Yeah. I think the biggest mistake that men make in marriage is they don't see the signs. They don't see, and this is something I've seen happen, not just in my own life, but in the lives of the men that I've worked with. Good men who've been in relationships for quite some time. And then right around the age when the kids start to leave the house, right about that age, right about the age that sort of the premenopause, the perimenopause starts to happen, they get left. And there's actually a name for this. It's called the walkaway wife syndrome. And this is a uh, blindsides men. And they miss the signs. They miss the signs early on. Because early on, she's saying, I want to connect with you. I want more from you. I want to feel you. Now, as men, we hear that and we go, well, I don't know what to do. So we just get quiet. And the problem is she hears and sees our quietness as not caring. The truth is we care a lot. The truth is that inside, when she's complaining, I'm thinking to myself, okay, how do I respond to this? What can I say? No, if I say that, that's actually going to make it worse. So I'm not going to say that. Well, I could say that. No, that's going to make it even worse, you know? And so we're going through this process in our head. And so basically we say to ourselves, just don't say anything and hope that she kind of stops being angry. And she receives that as, I don't care. That becomes her story. And after a while, she stops trying. And what happens for the guy is he goes, she's quiet. Everything must be fine. She's not complaining like she used to. Everything must be fine. But in reality, what happened is she's left the relationship emotionally. And from that point on, she starts plotting when she's going to leave. And maybe it's when the kids leave. Maybe it's when they're financially at a certain place. Maybe it's retirement. But at some point along the way, she's made this decision, and men don't see it early on. So the biggest mistake that men often make is seeing her being quiet as everything being okay.
Hmm. Seeing her being quiet as everything being okay. Wow. I'm learning stuff here, man. That's so. Okay, so there's this one I'm curious about again. What exactly
Yeah.
is a quote nice guy and quote
Yeah.
in a relationship? Mm,
Hmm. Yeah. Because, I mean, the idea of nice guy, right? You think, well, why wouldn't I want to be a nice guy? Right. And the idea behind this particular nice guy syndrome, there's a book written by a man named Dr. Glover, Dr. Robert Glover, called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And I read this book about right around the same time that my wife left, about 20 years ago. And I realized so many of the things that I was doing in my marriage were actually me being this nice guy. And the way he explained it was nice guys are actually fraudulently nice. Okay. So a nice guy will tell you what he thinks you want to hear. He'll say yes when he really doesn't want to do it. And so what he'll do is he'll either not follow through, or he'll do kind of a half-assed job, hoping that he won't be asked to do it again. He makes these what we call covert contracts, where he has an expectation, but he doesn't let anybody know what the expectation is. And when the expectation isn't met, then he gets resentful. So he might have an expectation, well, when we get married, we're going to have sex, 20 times a week. And when that doesn't happen, he gets resentful. And instead of talking it through with his partner, because he's a nice guy and he doesn't want to rock the boat and he doesn't want to make her upset, he just stuffs that down. So a nice guy will oftentimes, in that sort of telling people what they want to hear, they'll withhold their truth. And so they'll cover up their mistakes. They'll tell half-truths or white lies. And so a nice guy is anything but nice. And now the opposite of a nice guy isn't a jerk. The opposite of a nice guy is an integrated man. Going back to that word integrity and integrated, becoming a whole part. That I love myself so much that I'm able to give love from that abundance of love. I don't need validation from someone else. I simply give the gift of love because I have more than enough to share. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of work to get to that point.
That's so true. I got that. So, what are the top skills every husband should master? I feel it's also important.
Hmm. There's a couple of them, and this is what I teach. There's three skills. The first one is polarity. Now, some people may not be familiar what polarity is, but polarity is what creates attachment. So let's say you have a magnet and you've got a north and a south, opposite poles. Those two poles create connection, right? In a similar way, we have north and south, we have masculine and feminine energies. And we're both, as humans, we have both masculine and feminine energy. But if I'm coming at my wife with nice guy behavior, which is more feminine behavior, I'm meeting feminine energy with feminine energy. And just like a magnet, instead of connection, you get repulsion. Healthy masculinity and healthy femininity creates connection. If you think about masculine and feminine, you've got a nut and a screw. Okay, what do those two things do? Put them together and they create connection. They connect something together. So polarity is all about creating connection in your marriage, understanding the dynamics between the masculine and feminine energies and how those two things create connection. So the first thing I talk about is polarity. What is it? How do we get it? And how do we keep it and maintain it? Right. The second thing is presence. And presence is all about being here in the now, not getting distracted and up in your head, like actually having conversations, actually connecting, actually like listening and watching for her bids for attention. The other night, my wife was upstairs and she was looking out the window and she says, wow, look at the sunset. It's so beautiful. And I was doing something else, but I realized like this was a bid for attention. So I put down my book and I walked over. I'm like, yeah, it's beautiful. Look at that. Now, I could have just sat there with my book and said, yeah, which is a lot of what nice guys do. That's not me being present. That's me being distracted. So second thing is present. And the third thing is purpose. You have to have a purpose in your marriage and in your relationship. Now, just like a business has a primary purpose, and that primary purpose is to make money, your relationship also has a primary purpose, and that purpose is to create connection. So if I'm not living out of my purpose to create connection, then what's going to happen is I'm going to start to feel a sense of worthlessness, a sense of like, why are we doing this? There's no purpose in this. So really using these three key frameworks of polarity, presence, and purpose is what I think those three things and the skill sets around those are what can help a man learn to become confident in his marriage and confident as a husband and assured that, like his wife is there and that they're, she's not pulling away and he's not going away.
I got that. Polarity, presence, and purpose. Fantastic. I got that. The three P's, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So to bring this to an end, Chuck, how would you like to leave the audience with like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you, they've learned a series of things and they want to learn more or ask questions or purchase your resources, how can that be possible?
Yeah, okay. Thanks for the opportunity to share that. I think what I would want to leave your listeners with is that, here's the thing. Relationships are hard, and the way I kind of put it is this: life without my wife in many ways would be easier. I wouldn't have to check in with her. I wouldn't have, I could do whatever I want, but life without my wife would not be better. And I think that that's the thing of like, sometimes we get confused about, I want the easy thing, but the easy thing and the better thing are rarely one and the same. So you want to go after the better thing. And the way people can reach out to me, my website's really easy. It's chuckchapman.com. You can find out about my coaching program there. You can read my book. Speaking of integrity, it's called The Path, 16 Virtues of Integrity. And you can find that on Amazon. And you can find me on Instagram and TikTok and at Chuck Chapman, at chuckchapman.ma. And then I have a YouTube channel, which is at Chuck Chapman, where I go a little bit deeper in these concepts of nice guy and creating good relationships and having passion in your life.
Beautiful, beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Chuck. Thank you for coming. Okay. And thank you for sharing this amazing stuff with us. These are beautiful stuff, I tell you. I've learned a series of things, my man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.